We got the Baltimore Ravens versus the Tennessee Titans. Now, obviously, the Titans beat the Ravens last year in the playoffs. They beat them earlier this season. I don't care about that. I think these are two different teams playing. Last year, Lamar Jackson, that was his second playoff game. Like, I called Tennessee to win that in an upset. I like that matchup for Tennessee last year. This season, was that Baltimore's last loss, by the way, David? Was it Tennessee? Was that took them to 6-5? It was around that time.
This year, I'm not sure. I can look it up though if you want to keep
Yeah.
going.
Well, let me say this. I know last season in 2019, the last loss that the Kansas City Chiefs took was to the Tennessee Titans around that same time, around week 10. Was it the same time this day, David? Do you have it up?
I'm pulling up right now. Off the top of my head, I believe Pittsburgh was our last loss. It was. It was week 12 against Pittsburgh. The week before was week 11 against Tennessee, and then we rattled off 5 straight wins, which we pretty much knew was going to happen.
Yeah, we predicted that. We predicted Baltimore would win 5 straight and go into the playoffs, and everybody would be hyping them up, which they are. But I think deservedly so. Baltimore's playing their best football of the year. Look, man, this is gonna be a wild game. This is going to be a wild game. I think both teams are going to be able to score points here. In my opinion, that Tennessee game, Tennessee won the game. I think Baltimore was kind of in charge of that game, but Tennessee did what they always do, man. They stick with the run. Derrick Henry won in the day, and they won that in overtime with the Derrick Henry run, if memory serves. It's going to be a close game, everybody. This is not going to be a repeat of last year's playoffs. This will be a close game. Baltimore is ready. They're going to be thirsty for a win here. Let me hit you with fantasy. To me, Lamar Jackson's a definite start. J.K. Dobbins, about time, right? David and I also predicted that. Another feather in our cap. We predicted it was going to,
Predicted it for 16 straight weeks. Unleash him, unleash him. I wouldn't say predicted. We begged for it. Would be the more accurate description.
Begged for it, right? I thought it would be like Nick Chubb and Chubb's rookie season. I thought J.K. Dobbins, it was for stupid reasons more than anything else. It was going to take him a while to supplant, Gus Edwards and Mark. Sometimes these coaches, man, they just like, oh, let's make the rookie earn it, blah, blah, blah. J.K. Dobbins is the best rookie running back. I've said it all year. I also said it's going to take him 8 games to get in the lineup, but just be patient. We were, to be fair, you and me about 7 games in, we were just like, why aren't they playing? And you kind of went off, well, give him the ball. But they finally give him the ball, and then, they reel off like 5 straight. J.K. Dobbins is next level good, everybody. Next year, he's a top 10 fantasy running back, lock it in. But Baltimore, yes, you start J.K. Dobbins. Wide receivers, I think it's going to be too varied to start any of them. I stay away from them. Mark Andrews is a start for me this week. Derrick Henry, of course, he's a start. Tannehill's a start grade. I think he's average this week. Probably have him around 6 in terms of, 12 quarterbacks playing this week. I'd have him 5 or 6 this week in terms of fantasy points. A.J. Brown's a yes. I stay away from Corey Davis this week. I do think I would rather go with tight ends there for Tennessee. Corey Davis, now I have him over a 10. Don't get me wrong. I just think he can do better in some of these other matchups. Anyway, take it away, David. What do you think about this game?
Well, I'm looking at the box score from week 11 because, like I said, I want to see their most recent matchup, how things played out. And I think we're going to see could see a lot more of an offensive game than some people are expecting. Like Baltimore, we have the notoriety as a defensive-minded team. But we just have not been the same defense that we've been capable of being this year. And we've lost some guys to injury. Campbell missed some time. Wolf missed some time. I think Brandon Williams missed some time as well, But it's just, even with a fully healthy defense, it just hasn't been to the same level of eliteness that we're used to in past years. In Tennessee defense, like the defense that they had that won them games in the playoffs last year, it just completely been, I don't know what word to use, decimated, evaporated.
They just never got it together.
Something ate it. It's not been good. They lost Logan Ryan and free agency. I posted on Twitter. I had just asked, what happened to the Tennessee defense from last year that won playoff games? And a lot of Titans fans were telling me, Logan Ryan, that departure means a lot. They haven't had a Dory Jackson. And what a lot of people have pointed to, the defensive coordinator, and I believe it was Dick LeBeau who they lost as defensive coordinator, and that could be playing a big part of it. So I think you're going to see Baltimore score a lot of points. The first matchup, it was 30-24, and that went to overtime.
Right.
But Tannehill threw 2 touchdowns. Corey Davis was actually the leading receiver in that game. He actually outproduced A.J. Brown. He had 5 for 113.
Yeah, that was the Brown to send it to overtime made like a Herculean play, right? He was like a monster in that.
Touchdown.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, he had 4 for 62 and a touchdown. And to your point, the tight end, Jonnu Smith, 4 for 20. He also got into the end zone as well. So he had a salvageable day for fantasy-wise. And then Derrick Henry, 28 carries, 133 yards. Obviously, that game-winning touchdown at the end in overtime. You're starting him regardless of the fact that it's the Baltimore defense we already talk about. That defense just isn't the same. So I have no problem using Derrick Henry against this defense. J.K. Dobbins, he had 15 attempts, 70 yards, and a touchdown the first game. So I would definitely be using him in this game. And that was the start of when they started really featuring him. In that game, you had Dobbins with 15 attempts, Jackson with 13, and then the next, Gus Edwards only had 3 attempts, and Ingram only had 2.
Yeah.
So they really looked to feature J.K. Dobbins, whether it was just that time of year, whether it was the matchup that they looked to do it. They certainly looked to do it in their first matchup, so I would be using him as well. And then on the receiving end, Lamar only threw for 186 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Mark Andrews had a good game. He was the one receiver to have a good game. 5 for 96 and a touchdown for him. I'm not sure if Hollywood played or if he was out that game, but he didn't register a catch. I'll tell you that. He's not on the box score here. Des Bryant had 4 for 20.
That could have been the start of COVID. Yeah, because right after that is when the Ravens basically started their JV squad against Pittsburgh. So, yeah, I don't think he did, but I don't know. I don't remember.
But Brown did have his best game of the year in the playoffs last year against him. He caught like 7 for 126, I want to say. So he could be a flyer. It depends. I'm not thrilled about it, especially when you look at the fact Jackson only threw 186 yards the first time they played. So if I'm using anyone in the receiving game, it's going to be Mark Andrews.
Let me hit you with the line here. So Baltimore, I think it's a great line.
Baltimore, I'm taking Baltimore.
Yeah, of course you are. Of course you are, the Baltimore fan. I think it's a great line, though. Like, when I was writing it down, that's right where I would have the line. It's Baltimore on the road, -3.5 versus Tennessee. You taking Baltimore?
Yeah.
You know, my picks are split here. So computer picks have Tennessee, but I wrote down the score. I personally wrote down the score. My score prediction is Baltimore 32, Tennessee 28. Computer prediction was Baltimore 34, Tennessee 31. So 3 points, 4 points. It's right there. So what?
It's about time we get revenge on these guys. It needs to be leveled. The last 2 games we lost. We can't lose 3 games to these guys in a row. We can't.
I want to let the crowd know. David's obviously rooting for Baltimore. I'm rooting for Tennessee. I like Tennessee. I do. I enjoy Tennessee football, but I think Baltimore is going to win this game, and I think they're going to win by 4.
Not even going to root for your co-host's favorite team.
No. I like your pain. It's good for the show. It's good for the show. I like when you come in all pissed off on Monday morning. Yeah, that show's been uninteresting since the Baltimore Ravens have started winning. You're all happy all the time. No. Like I think Baltimore. I do think that they get some revenge in this game. I'm not counting out Tennessee. Like I really like the way they play football. It's the defense, man. The offense is good. We know the offense is great. But the defense, I think, is worse. So the combination of offense and defense, I think Baltimore's just playing a better football right now. I think Baltimore gets their 6th win in a row, and they're going to make another team next week pretty nervous. But we'll see how that shakes out. Let's see. We got the middle game, the afternoon game on Sunday.